Hey guys, Sasuke here, and today I'm joined with TSS Sold Out. Soul has won the Best of Sivir in Sydney and completely defined the Sivir metagame throughout Unleashed. Now he's trying to shake things up with a new legend. Let's talk about Ambessa.
Yeah, we're doing Ambessa testing. This deck has felt really powerful. I'm really impressed with all of the movement capabilities. And if anyone is familiar with competitive Riftbound, you know how important movement is. Deck is very, very impressive so far.
Great. Well, I guess let's get right into it. Let's go over the battlefields real quick, why you chose them, and if you'd make any changes.
So you'll notice a common theme within Risen Altar and Sandswept Tomb. These battlefields give you power reduction. The number one problem I have encountered when playing Ambessa so far is the deck is rune starved super frequently, where I just won't have the runes that I need. I'm spending too much power every turn. You'll notice all of our removal is, cost power. Our signature spell and Lacerate have flow abilities that cost double power, right? And so finding ways to reduce your power consumption is really, really important. And Risen Altar and Sandswept Tomb both do that. Sandswept Tomb says that each spell you cast that targets a friendly unit here costs power less. This reduces the power of your punch, of your challenge, your hidden blade if you're doing it on a friendly, your signature spell, and your rampage. And then the other battlefield, obviously Risen Altar, this battlefield allows you to empower your units for power or energy less. This is super relevant for your emissary, your legion marauder that can all need power to be empowered. Being able to do that for free allows you to again maintain tempo in the early game, get to a higher rune count sooner, while also enabling your Wither Claw. Your Wither Claw is a 4/4 that has power for 1 and 2 power. And then when he's empowered, he has +2 and a death knell effect that says when he dies, channel 2 runes. And you might go, oh, why are we playing this guy that costs 2 power when all he does is channel 2 runes when he dies? Well, that's just rune neutral. But then you do him on the altar, and then bam, you're getting +1 rune in the exchange. So getting a really big guy while also going positive in runes is it's not something a lot of decks have access to. And then finally, you have one more thing on the Risen Altar, your Kale. How could I forget about Kale? Kale is like the best thing to do in Ambessa. It's like the perfect card for her. She says, empower 3, get +2 might. She can be empowered multiple times, and if you empower her 3 times, she has deflect 3 in ganking. And then finally, we have Sunken Temple. Sunken Temple is sort of a just generic kind of low impact battlefield. I like playing these sort of like draw centric battlefields when you're doing kind of in the testing phase because it lets you see more cards in your deck. Very happy with the field selection currently. Would maybe consider swapping Sunken Temple out, but not quite sure what I would exchange it with.
Great. Yeah, I mean, that makes a heck of a lot of sense. I think a lot of the viewers here may not even have thought of Sandswept Tomb. I know I certainly didn't, but seeing how that synergy works with pretty much every single removal tool you have at your disposal, and then not to mention also just being able to use the Hidden Blade as a 2 mana draw 2 in a pinch seems pretty great. So with that said, though, why don't we just go over the main deck very briefly? I am very curious about the Guttural Roar, and you did touch up on the Bakai Witherclaw, but maybe the viewers might be a little bit interested in the Marching Orders choice as well as the Onslaught choice.
So my number one rule about like playing one-ofs in a deck is you want your one-ofs to be high impact. Now this list, like I said, it's a testing list. I don't think this is what Ambessa is going to look like when it's kind of completely solved. But there's a lot of cards in here that I'm just kind of like actively testing. Those cards are like the Onslaught, the Lacerate, the Marching Orders. The thing I do that all three of these cards have in common is they are high impact. Lacerate, choose a unit. If it's empowered, disempower it. Then if it has 3 might or less, kill it. This counters a lot of stuff you think that it wouldn't. It beats like Steel Paws, Mourning Witness. It beats Noxian Emissary in the Mirror. Very good card. Creates a lot of early game tempo, and because it has flow, you can do it again later. Just Absolutely phenomenal piece of removal. Um, Maybe my favorite orange card from uh, Vendetta is Onslaught. It's a 4 cost, give a unit +6, flow for 4 energy. So you give a unit +6, and then give a unit +6 again later. This comes up every single game. Honestly, a card I would love to play multiple copies of, but when your card has flow, you have to be kind of conscious of that. One copy of it is actually 2 copies, right? And you don't want to end up having 6 copies of Onslaught in your hand, right? That can, despite being so powerful, it's not a card that is necessarily good in that, in multiples. Really, really like Onslaught. Very high, very powerful card in its own right. And then the last one of we're playing is Marching Orders. Marching Orders is a challenge-esque card. Currently, we're playing like 8 different challenges. We're playing Challenge, Public Execution, and Rampage. Marching Orders is kind of that ninth challenge. The important thing to note about this card is it doesn't hit base. If Marching Orders hit base, I would probably be maxed out on it, just because what Marching Orders allows you to do is because it has a repeat, you can challenge 2 different units with 1 spell. And with your Ambessa chosen champion, because she doesn't take damage outside of combat, you can use her to challenge 2 different units at the same time without actually having her die. So you turn your 7 might Ambessa into basically kill a thing, kill another thing. Very, very high impact. Really love this card. If it hit base, it would just be, I would be, like I said, I'd be playing 3 copies of it. But it's uh, still very good even though it only hits battlefields, just because it allows you to create more might than you would have on the, like, if all you have is an Ambessa and that represents 7 might, you go, okay, now I have marching orders. Now I'm representing like 21 might effectively. So very good card, very high impact, very much a fan of it. You asked about like Guttural Roar and kind of a removal suite. Guttural Roar is just a kind of your generic pump spell. Gives you +2. If your unit's empowered, gives you +4. Um, Pretty much all your units in the deck that are doing, big combat are going to be empowered. So it's effectively like just +4 most of the time. Um, it matters a little bit on like your Fey Folk and maybe your Kinku Monk, where it doesn't actually give them that +4, it gives them that +2. So there's an argument for like maybe let's play Grim Resolve. Grim Resolve always gives us +3, kind of meet in the middle, so to speak. But I have found that that +1 just kind of matters more often than you would think. I mentioned before that Kale is like the reason to play the deck. This is not exaggerating, the best card they could have printed for Ambessa. It does everything you want to do. It's both your low end and you'll notice we're not playing any unit above 4 might because we don't need to. You want a really big guy? Boom, there's Kale. Being both winning the early game and winning the late game in a single body is extremely impressive. Allows you to do more with, Orange is notorious for having low card advantage, and Kale allows you to do a lot with that with few cards. The fact that she triggers your legend multiple times, extremely relevant. There's a lot of games where you can just kind of play out of your base, go Kale up, Empower, Ambessa ready, back your Kale, and now every single turn I'm just like scoring my points, getting my Kale's getting bigger. I'm putting this like clock on my opponent of like you better out this thing or it's going to end you. That sort of power is very hard to come by. One of the units that I want to say overperforms, but it performs exactly how I thought it would, which is very well.
Awesome. All right. Well, great. Let's just go over the sideboard very briefly, and if you'd make any changes there.
So Sideboard is kind of touch and go at the moment. When you're in the kind of beginnings of a new format, it's your sideboard is meant to kind of counter strategies that your main deck doesn't deal with particularly well, or to give you additional options. Because we don't know what the format's going to look like, it's hard to say what additional options we need, right? So I've just put some like generically good stuff, some cards that I think might be good into what I expect to be powerful, mainly purple. Purple has always been the best color. It's still the best color. All of the top decks are going to be playing it. And that's why I'm on 2 copies of Disposal Order. Disposal Order, if you're not familiar, can recycle cards at reaction speed from your opponent's trash. And you might be like, okay, well, why do we need to do that? It's a counter to Fizz. And they go Fizz, target stack deck, or Fizz, target Starcross. Okay, boom, Disposal Order, put that crap back at the bottom of your deck. If Fizz, because he has no target, he's going to resolve without effect. And you just like completely kind of shut down their game plan. Next, you have Ash. Again, Ash is just generically playable, beats good into Aurora, gives you that kind of access to hand control, combos really nicely with a lot of what the deck is trying to do. We have Ambessa. I just kind of always put the second CC in the sideboard just to have access to it. I haven't quite figured out what matchups having the yellow Ambessa is better than having the orange one. But I like having it there so that way if I'm ever in a game and I'm like, hey, yellow Ambessa would be really good here, I can kind of make a note of that and side it in, obviously. Gangplank has been a piece of dog shit. I cannot stand Gangplank. It seems like it would synergize really well. It's like, oh, it can't be bounced, it can't be reduced, has empower, we're an empower deck, that's synergy, or something. But the problem with Gangplank is he is entirely outclassed by Ruin Runner. The reason it's in the board currently is anytime you're in a new format, you need to be testing the unknown variables against known variables, right? And Ruin Runner is a known variable. We know what Ruin Runner does, we know what Ruin Runner is good against, and we know what is good against Ruin Runner. The problem with Gangplank is not only is he more expensive, but he loses to more things. It's so much worse than Ruin Runner in every single situation. Um, the one extra might that you have on Gangplank is nowhere near the tremendous number of downsides that this card brings you. But doing the due diligence, testing him, putting him in the board, feeling the card out, and I can tell you the card feels real bad. And then finally, we have Divine Judgment. I'm not going to spend too long talking about this card. All that you need to know is Divine Judgment beats unfair decks. Decks trying to do unfair or uncool things, infinite combos, Aurora, super heavy control decks. Divine Judgment's going to perform very well into. If this deck card will stay in the board, hard to determine, but there is a lot of those super heavy purple combo decks. I've seen a lot of Aurora based decks, a lot of infinite decks, and having this card to beat those is super super relevant. It also inadvertently combos really well with the disposal order.
Yeah, yeah, fair point. All right. Well, with that said, I'd like to give you a chance to shout out your Metafy, your team's Metafy per chance, and
check out the TSS, the Secret Sauce Metafy. A lot of new interesting content is going to be going up there soon. I know I have a lot of teammates, kind of labbing each individual deck. I know a lot of my teammates are going to be writing, guide content if you guys are interested in that, for each of those decks. So definitely look out for that. Check out the TSS Discord. We do testing and we do Q&A, deck construction, a lot that goes on that can kind of help any player kind of understand the format better, understand Riftbound better as a game, while also just kind of getting to both chat and play with some, really, really good, Riftbound players. So check that out.
all right. Well, with that, guys, we're gonna go ahead and set it off. See you guys in the next one.
See ya.